Good evening, and welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. Wow. I'm I don't know what to say about this movie. Like, that's kind of the best praise I can give it, that I'm sitting here in my car, leaving the movie theater, with popcorn stuck in my teeth, and stuck behind this motherfucker who is just kind of sitting here, and there's no cars coming. There we go. And I do not know what to say about this movie, because it is just so good and so unlike any, I don't know what I expected going into this movie, but it certainly was not what the fuck I just watched. And that is not at all an indictment of the movie or making the movie, saying the movie's bad or anything. It's just, when I saw what this movie is and read the description in the app, it's like two former friends have to deal with the falling out of their relationship. The twists and turns that this movie takes you on are a little more extreme than that. And again, I'm going to play the spoiler warning, because I'm going to spoil the movie. But if you haven't seen this movie yet, and you want to, and you intend to, do not go in with spoilers, because this is a movie that functions best playing off of that you don't know what's gonna happen kind of thing. Everything kind of unfolds over the course of this movie works best if you're clueless about what's coming, and you just kind of have to deal with it in stride. So from here on out, there will be spoilers. So if you want to come back to this after you see the movie, then by all means, but spoilers beyond this point. So what we have is a story of these two guys on this little remote island off the coast of Ireland, and they are they're friends. They go out to get beer. They go to the pub every day at 2. So one of the guys, I don't remember the only character whose name I remember is Dom. I remember Siobhan, if that's how you pronounce it, who was played by Kerry Condon, who voiced Friday. And it's one of those weird things where it's I know this woman's voice, and then she says something, I'm like, oh, she's Friday from the Avengers. So I remember her name, and I remember Dominic, who's Barry Keoghan's character. And Colin is Brendan Gleeson. I don't remember or really recollect how to pronounce Colin Farrell's character. But either way, we have all these characters. And Colin Farrell and what's his name? And Brendan Gleeson are friends. They go out and get beer, yada yada yada. So they have this kind of standing appointment to go and do this every day at 2. Colin Farrell shows up, doesn't want to go with them. He finds out the reason why is that he doesn't want to be friends anymore, and the reason why is, I just don't like you anymore. You probably seen that in the trailer. And it is, from there it kind of devolves, because you have this character in Colin Farrell who is unwilling to accept that he is not, he doesn't want to have someone that want to be friends with him. And I think part of it is that you have this very small island where everyone kind of talks and everything, and that's kind of the common thing we get here. You have the seclusion of it, and the lack of people to communicate with. So you have all of that. Now, the argument that ensues over this is look, and I think Brendan Gleeson has kind of, and I'm going to say this right here, this movie kind of plays like a horror movie to an extent, in so much as when we talk about horror movies, we talk about sometimes nightmare vision or nightmare imagery, and the rationale for it is it's people in horror movies don't act like they do in real life. They don't act like, normal humans. They act like they're in a horror movie. And, you know, because if they don't act like they're in a horror movie, then there's no plot. So what we have is we have this movie where you have these people who are acting like they're in a dream almost. And you're watching and you're like, or like a fable. And what we have is he's like, look, I don't want to be friends with you. I'm looking at the future. And I'm like, I have not left my mark on this world. And as a result, I want to write music so that way I can have something that I can leave behind and will live past my life. And it's like, all right, I like his motivation. Like, I totally understand that aspect of it. And he's like, look, and if you're just going to come at me with inane conversations about what's going on this fucking island, then I'm not going to sit here and have this conversation with you. Like, go find someone else to know your bullshit. And again, I'm like, okay, all of this kind of tracks. And in this world, I do kind of understand completely why that makes sense. So Colin Farrell doesn't take this up, and he starts bothering him again to be like, why aren't we still friends? And he goes, look, from now on, anytime you come and talk to me, I'm going to cut off one of my fingers. So Colin Farrell eventually calls his bluff and talks to him again, and he cuts off one of his fingers and throws it at the door. At this point, Siobhan's like, well, fuck this. This is fucked up. I'm leaving. Which is probably the like her character turn is great for that. And I think that Kerry Condon is acting her, is, you know, making a pretty strong case to get a Best Supporting Actress nomination for this movie. So she's like, I'm out. You guys handle this. This is weird, because it's like you wouldn't stop talking to him, and he asked you to stop talking to him. So his response is to cut off his index finger and lob it at our door. Like, it's just so fucked up and deranged. And then what happens is he continues to try to talk to him, and he keeps trying to fuck up everything for him too, Colin Farrell, because Colin Farrell just can't deal with not being center of attention. So he ends up cutting off the rest of his finger, and it's just this really, and it's just a fucking wild movie all around. And I think that the movie could be shitty if Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson aren't the actors of the caliber they are. Like, there's a very real chance that in the hands of less skilled actors, or a less skilled director in the hands of Martin McDonagh here, there's a solid chance this movie turns out being really fucking weird and not good. And at the end of the day, the fact that the movie does work is just a testament to all the talent involved. It's just, I can't believe that this kind of, like, I watched it and I was like, this is not at all what the trailer made it seem like. And the trailer kind of sells it as like a comedy almost. And that's not to say the movie isn't funny and it doesn't have some great comedic moments. But it's just this idea, like, it's masking this very dark kind of, like, everything's just kind of, like, you get, like, the wallowing in depression and all of that is just so well done. That it is such a great... It kind of reminds me a little bit of Manchester by the Sea, where, like, if you want a movie, like, the movie equivalent of putting on a sad song and being like, you know, to wallow in that a little bit. It's like, we're gonna, you know, play sad music because I'm not feeling too happy, like that kind of thing. This is that movie. Like, go and see this. And the thing is too, it's like, it's not strictly just this, you know, this sad dirge. There are some great comedic moments, like, you know, Dominic has, I think that really Dominic is my only complaint about the movie, because number one, Barry Keoghan is annoying. I've yet to see him in something and not have him kind of like take me out of the movie. I did not like him in Eternals. I did not like him in the Batman. It's like, all right, move it along. Mercifully, he's not going to be in Dune Part 2, because I don't know how I would have felt about that. But, like, by the time we get to the end of the movie, it's like, he has his own little issue where it's like he's depressed because he's not married, and he's trying to get with Siobhan, and I'm like, alright, that's kind of cute, but this kid's like got something, like, there's something off about him, and he ends up dying he ends up dying at the end, and I'm like, and in a way that is very heavily implied to be suicide, and it's one of those things where it's like, why was that the path we took here? Because it's like, we don't really get to a point where it's like, it's explained that it's like, why is that happening? What happened here that led to him committing suicide? I feel like a little more explanation there would have been nice, just to really level out and round out that whole character arc, especially considering how much of that character arc, like, how much of his death is contingent on, or like, how much of the end of the plot and the resolution of the plot is contingent on his death. A little more explanation would have been appreciated. Not necessarily, but just like, okay, so he's found dead in the water by the weird old lady, who's definitely like the Shakespearean kind of, like, what's it called? Like, what's the one here for here? Like the witches, kind of, in Macbeth. Like, that's the kind of role she's playing, and it's kind of like, you see that and you're like, oh, well, that's, cool, I guess. But a little more explanation would have been nice. I don't know, though. But we'll see. What else is there? If you have not seen this movie yet, definitely go see it, even if it has been spoiled for you by me listening to this right now. It's fantastic. It probably will make my top 10. I think my top 2 or maybe top 3 are maybe set in stone. But it might be a top 5 come the end of the year. It might be a top 5. Who knows? But yeah, definitely check out the Banshees of Inisherin. If you have not yet seen it, you can go and check it out on what's it called? It's in theaters now. But we'll wrap up there for today. Tomorrow morning we have Andor, first thing. We also have tomorrow evening The Menu, the Ralph Fiennes, like, totally not Gordon Ramsay movie. So that's also coming this weekend. And then Pokemon, what's it called? Pokemon Violet. I got Violet, but I don't think, it's going to be that different between Scarlet and Violet. But yeah. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head that I'm missing that we're going to be doing in the near future. Yeah, so we'll wrap up there for today. So until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.